is superior, Constructicons inferior.
Welcome back to the Tidy Rip Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the Fanstoys Robot Paradise, aka Fanstoys, the RP-01 Acoustic Wave, and I want to say that this actually is a pretty good figure. I'm kind of impressed. It does feel a lot like Fanstoys, looks a lot like Fanstoys, and has a ton of accessories, so there's a lot to this. Now, I did get this at Show Z. You can get yours there too. I have a link down below. So let's get into taking a look at this awesome version of Soundwave. Taking a quick look at the box, and one thing that you're going to see with this box here is that this thing is actually more like the first 2012 versions. Like, the picture is drawing of the first version that they had. It doesn't exactly 100% match this version because that's more like what the old one looked like, in my opinion. Now, I might be wrong, and people might be able to prove me wrong on that one, but that's just kind of how that looks. So anyway, looks pretty good. Artwork, top, side. Yeah, this is exactly what a Fanstoys looks like, except RP-01, and I guess they did it so they don't get in trouble for making a Soundwave. Okay, I see. Cool. We'll move past the name. Okay, right out of the box, you're gonna have to do a few things. Obviously, his legs are backwards, and Fanstoys packs his stuff. They just, I guess, figure out the best way to pack it so it doesn't break in shipping or scratch in shipping and those kinds of things. So, looking at this, I mean, this reminds me of the scene in Spaceballs where they say, "Why didn't anyone tell me my butt was so big?" But anyway, coming around to the back here, we're going to, I loosened this up already, but you're going to have to pull this off, and kind of, it sort of all folds out at once so that you can turn his waist around and position him properly. And then from that, we can clean up the back area here also. All right, so we're going to fold these up into here, and then you kind of got to rotate right there, which it's really tight. So I'm going to hold this while I rotate it, and then you can kind of get it back aligned. Now, right here you have some die-cast metal parts that are going to slide down and hold it into place. Those are actually some pretty firm panels because this does slide up and down. So this will keep it solid. And then you can put his rear in place. Now, you could also just leave it showing the buttons or whatever, but this is how they want it done. And then I think we fold some of this up into here. And get him into his full-on mode. So let's have a look at him from here now that he's in his normal mode. And of course, situation your hands however you want, and then just kind of go around and get him straightened up and aligned and positioned just right, because he does ship kind of funky. All right, here he is. He comes with a literal ton of accessories. This guy has just a ton of accessories. For a single dad, you know, he's got to have some stuff to keep the kids happy. And I hear he actually has 3 baby mamas dropping off more kids soon, so that other pack should be showing up. So looking at this, we're going to start with looking at some of these accessories, but I think we should start with the main accessory itself, and that's Frenzy. Frenzy himself is actually quite impressive. He's just made of so much die-cast and lots of paint, and he also comes with 3 different faces, so he's got this, he's up to something kind of face, and none of these are really that, well, maybe that's a sneering face. And then the one that's already on him is kind of like a normal looking face. Now, with that, he also comes with some pile drivers, and he has these guns, and of course they clip to the back. Same kind of stuff that happens with all the other ones. They do transform and tuck away in his transformation. But with this, he does have a little bit of side to side with the head, and it is on a mushroom peg. Shoulder. Now, shoulders do a lot of stuff. I'm not really going to do everything with it, but you can pull it out a bit, push it back in, goes up for the transformation all the way up and around, and then of course 360 with it if you don't bump into the back piece there. And then you've got your elbow at the 90, and really nothing with the hand other than going in and out. And then you have some good articulation with the leg. You can go out to the side. Just feels real fragile though. It just does really feel fragile. And then your foot, you've got a little bit of articulation, pretty much what you'd want on a ball joint and stuff too on the foot. So Pretty good looking figure overall. I kind of like him. Die cast metal, looking great, outstanding. And he does do the pile driver thing, so we will have to pop that off. Extend this out. I'm going to take these off just so I can do this. And then we're going to fold this arm in, double joint, and then flip this around. And then that's how you're going to get your pile driver in there. And which one is right? The finished side there. He has his pile driver, and we push the button. All that paint, man. That's awesome. Anyway, there's him with his pile driver. Let's get the other one on. There he is. That looks rather nice. I really like how that looks and how that whole setup works. It's awesome, outstanding, very beautiful. And just all that paint everywhere. He's got paint everywhere and die cast. So let's get into looking at this guy compared to some of the other options that are out there. Here it is next to a couple of other options that are out there. This is the MMC one, and I forgot to put his guns on the back there. This one, Fanstoys. This is, I don't know where my frenzy is for my masterpiece. It's in a box somewhere, so I don't want to dig that out. But anyway, looking at them, this looks good. I like the way it looks, but I like the size of this better, so there's things that I like, so we're going to have to bring in Soundwave for that comparison here in a second. But let's look at them. Let's look at the backs of them, and now this is what people complain about the Fanstoys one, is that it's hollow in the back. So it is kind of hollow in the lower legs, in the back of the legs, and you know, it's an accessory, him in himself, but we got a little hollowness in Takara, and I was never impressed with Takara. It was nice to have a modern take on the cassettes, even if it was Masterpiece, but yeah, I wasn't really that impressed. So I kind of like, overall, I still like MMC's size better, but I mean, the paint on this is just so phenomenal. It's just amazing. Anyhow, looking at them like this, and let's see how they all stack up next to Soundwave. So here they are next to Big Daddy himself, and we can just throw out Takara, knowing Takara is just too small. So we can say, is the Fanstoys one or the MMC one? Which one do you think looks better on your shelf? How would you rather display them? So it's one of those, I actually think that MMC still looks better for display purposes, but really a pretty good solid figure from Fanstoys. And one more comparison is the G1, and of course you can't forget the G1. Just this guy has come so far. Yeah, I used to love this design of figure when I was a kid. I just was intrigued how the tape turned into a human-esque type of humanoid form, and there it is. He's a little bit taller, not a whole lot taller, but way more advanced. Now getting into Acoustic Wave and his accessories, just really no order to this. I'm just going to go through them as fast as I can here. But he does have this cube, just clips on the outer ring of that. I always worry about stuff like this, rubbing off that beautiful chrome. And then you can put the cap on, and you can have yourself a box and Energon cubes, and there you go. Nice for display. Would be nice to have a bunch of those, wouldn't it? So also with this battery / cannon of his, he puts it on right here, and I don't think that, yeah, it does extend actually. So this is kind of cool, and it's articulated. You can do kind of what you want with it. I guess you can move it around, but anyhow, that's an extra little added feature to it. And also here with the gun, you have to pull the gun out. It transforms pretty much like all the other ones. So there it is. And he's got his gun in his hand. You can put it in either hand that you want. And other accessories that he has. I debated whether I was going to mess with doing the toy version or not. So I guess I'm going to give it a go real quick. All right, so getting him into his toy look, I already did the, well, technically his right side, but we're looking at the left, and getting this head off was a challenge. Everything tabs in. The shoulders was a bit of a challenge. It just tabs in real tight, so I'm just going to barely rest this on there because I don't want to wrestle with that face again. We want to see what it looks like. Man, some of this stuff's in there really tight, so let's start with this shoulder over here. We're going to show how that kind of goes. Now, I kind of found wiggling it helps get it out, but if you just pull straight on this joint, I can see that breaking. So we don't want that to happen. Of course we don't want that to happen. So we could put this other shoulder piece on here, like so, and it does still lift up and have that functionality that the other one does, so that's pretty interesting. So I guess you could transform it with that on there. As you can see, I haven't tabbed my arms in. When we get to articulation, I'm going to kind of show that, how that works. Okay, getting down here to the leg, let's pull this knee out and pull this knee piece here just comes right out. We're going to put the red one in like so. And then we're going to wiggle this part here off. And I'm going to lay it down. Let's lay it down so that we can do this working on this thing without messing up. Now, everything shows the yellow pieces to the outside. So then we're going to put this right back into place right there. And then we're going to untab this piece here so we can untab the foot, move it out of the way. We can pop this off, which doesn't sound good when it pops off, but it pops off fine. Put this guy right in here. Put that on. Tap the foot back in place. Tap this back in here. Come grab this thing here. We're gonna clip the little side decorative piece on. And we've got them in place as toy. So let's readjust the camera and have a look at them. So here he is in his toy mode, and it's quite a bit of work to change it out, but I think it's really cool that they added this. So if you think it's too simple and too plain, you don't like the true just tune look and you want to go the toy route, you can. You can also swap out this chest piece. You literally have to pop that piece of plastic out of there and then put this new piece of plastic in, and it makes it look like that. So I'm not going to mess with all that because I could see myself breaking that. I guarantee you, if I do it, I'm going to break it. So I'm not going to mess with that piece. But still, I think it's pretty interesting. You got different options here. And I didn't really pay attention that they were going to put all this in here and include all this. Makes it really cool. So let's see what it looks like next to an actual toy. So I don't know why. I think I have my worst Soundwave transformed into toy mode. But you can kind of see all the extra kibble on the side now is added. Which, you know, it's the toy mode look. And you can see the red in the knees. And you can see the little yellow pieces in the red and all that kind of stuff. To give it the toy mode that kind of carries right over. And then of course you can see some die cast and metal and stuff like that. Interesting touch. You got the shoulder pieces, which it doesn't really match the shoulders as much, but still it's a nice homage. It's really cool and it gives it an interesting look. All right, so here we are. We got him back in his tune look and kind of how I'm going to display mine. And some people might think it's a little bit too simple, but I like this. I like the tune look, the tune aesthetic. When we get into the comparisons, we can kind of see what I'm liking about it so much. So here we go with taking a look at him and then doing some articulation along the way. I do like that he's got his little side. We've already gone over that accessory, and it's got some, that's not actual, is that actual paint? That is actual paint. It's got a nice reflective paint to it. And somehow I collapsed it. And then his face, it looks well painted, and there's some red paint on those eyes. It looked mean, menacing, awesome. You can go up that much, not down so much. You think he could be able to look a little bit down to look at his minions or his, his kids. And then going through this here with the eject button, there it is. Feels like die cast. And this piece here feels like die cast also, which kind of is the tape ejector. So boom, it ejects the tape. Easier to just push that in, but if you're going to try to put two tapes in there, it'll advance that tape forward. And then we got the shoulders. Now with the shoulders here, you have some movement to where you can get kind of a butterfly, but you're supposed to push these in and hold them in. And without that, I don't think you really have a butterfly. So anyway, you get a nice ratchet out to the 90, and of course you get 360 all the way around ratcheted. And then you have a bicep swivel in there, and you can do a bit of a butterfly, which is okay. And I'm going to leave mine open for butterfly, and because I am going to transform it here in a minute, so why shove that in there real hard just to pull it out real hard. And then you got a double jointed arm right here, and then you get into the hands, and the hands are on a ball joint more or less themselves. He can wave at his kids as they leave, and each individual finger, they are individually articulated, and they look really good, and they're curved, so they match like the tune aesthetic even better. So looks pretty nice. And his hand itself has more of a human curvature to the hand too. So that is interesting looking. So it looks good. It looks interesting, looks good. He does have an ab crunch. It's kind of an ever so slight ab crunch. It's nothing like an MP44 Extreme or anything like that, or the Super Extreme Magic Square Prime, but you do have the side to side swivel, which gets into the transformation. And then you start flipping up some of these hip skirts and stuff. And you can go with a nice forward range, and it feels solid out. Wow, squeaky. Out to the side, and it holds okay without a ratchet. And then to the back, not so far I wouldn't press it, but again, I don't really see any sort of scenario where I need to go that far back, but still pretty good. And then you have the thigh. Okay, you got the swivel at this universal joint, and then the back locking mechanism keeps the rest from moving. So if you really, for whatever reason, need to gain a really extreme, I don't even think you'd really need to, but you can unlock that back piece. Okay, getting down here to the knee. Those are folded up. I guess you can unfold these down. So I think that is to make it, cover that gap. But if you want to go, you can go that far if you fold those pieces down. I'm not really sure if you're supposed to have those in place, because I know that's... anyway, doesn't really matter. You can have it either way. So with that, we saw the knee there, the foot. You have... It's cool because it's the whole foot rotating. The whole foot is moving. So that is really good. And you got the toe up and down and whatever you want to do with it. So pretty solid bot. Excellent articulation on it. I don't think it's really hindered in articulation very much for what it does. And it looks pretty good. I like it. So let's get on to some real comparisons with some of these other characters. Okay, so let's do some comparisons. Here he is with the Takara version, and I gotta say that I had my issues with Takara in the first place. I was happy to have a Soundwave. I was happy with all of the stuff, and I got the Toys R Us one, and now this one actually is a KO, so I actually got rid of my official. So with this one, I didn't like the kibble on the side of the legs, which they add for the toy version, and so that was an issue that I had with this one. I also didn't like the way you can see what's going on here with the thigh piece, and I also kind of felt like you didn't really have the articulation range. It was kind of like not the greatest range with articulation with that, and I felt like it could have been covered a little better, like all the hardware is kind of covered in here. But I don't think this is horrible either. I think we're looking at decade apart, and so with a decade apart, 1 decade later, this is what we get, and I still think this one looks better. This is my Soundwave now than the Takara, but I'm not going to be getting rid of my Takara or this KO one. Anyway, what a lot of people like about this one is that it has the silver in it, which I understand that. Understand liking the silver and going that direction. So, I mean, there's really not a wrong choice here. And then, of course, this one has a lot of detail where this one is smooth and flat. But they give you the option to add in the detail if that's what you want. So it's kind of here and there. Which one do you want? Which one? How do you like it? How do you want to set yours up? I mean, there's no wrong choice when it comes to this, but I think this is more advanced looking. So here he is next to the KFC version of Blaster. This is their Transistor, and this is the first run, their metallic paint job one, which I love. I love the metallic paint job on this, but holding them side by side, this thing probably weighs 3 times as much as this guy does, with all the die cast and weight in this guy, and this guy's super light. But he still looks okay. But side by side, I mean, even Blaster can't help but check out the new Soundwave in town. He can't get enough of it, and he's probably thinking, is there going to be a better Blaster coming, and is my day numbered on the shelf? And here we go, compared to the MP36 Megatron Takara, and this is the Deformation Space, the DS-01, which is amazing. I absolutely love the DS-01. That's my favorite of the Starscreams. So looking at this, I think that works really well. Even the DS-01, which they say everyone says is too tall, is still a little shorter than Soundwave, and Soundwave is a little shorter than Megatron, and in my opinion, this is perfect. Like, all this scale right here is absolutely perfect. Now, I went with them. This is the Mag-10, and there's other versions of MP36 that have a more tuned look, which would make this blend together a little bit better. But the Mag-10 is one I have most readily available to use for my reviews. Now, let's see what the Takara Starscream looks like. Okay, and here we go with Takara, and I gotta admit, Takara just looks too small and feels too small, in my opinion. Other people say, no, this chart that I found online proves this is correct. So I don't think there's any wrong choice either when it comes to your Starscreams. I just think the Deformation Space is more what I was looking for. So, but side by side, building your shelf, this is a very solid Soundwave. As you can see, it fits really well with everything. Okay, so the fun part's over. Let's get into transforming this guy. So let's go ahead and take all this stuff off. You are supposed to fold that in. I don't know if I'm going to ever get mine out. I don't know if I'm going to actually fold that in, but unclip this gun from the hand. You want to make your fists into fists so that you can tuck these all away. All right, so we're gonna open this up. fold this around, tuck it in backwards so it comes out okay. Make sure that everything fits in there just right. And it fits in there just right. So this is the early pre-prep of transformation. Come on. Same thing on this side. Feel like I keep going off camera there. Okay, here we go. Same thing. And we want to do some stuff with the bottom first. But in order to do stuff with the bottom, you've got to unclip this top. And I guess I let it get clipped back in too hard. That's not going to be good. There, that comes out. We'll fold this out, make that straight. We can tuck the batteries in there too, so we can kind of get that done right now. Let me get them prepped for it. We're going to close this, put them in, tuck them in. We're going to collapse this piece, and then if you didn't already by mistake, collapse that, and then tuck them in. So they're ready to go. So sort of get that out of the way. Now we need to unclip this bottom part down here that holds this in place. And then we're going to fold this stuff here out, fold this flap out, and fold these other flaps out. So all around you want to get all these flaps folded out. Going around to the back part here, we're going to actually get this prepared to go. Then we're going to do some strange rotations here. Okay, you want to clear all of the buttons and everything. So I guess we can just do that first. Then this all comes up for the lower level of a rotation. And there it goes. Now, at this point, you're going to want to have everything aligned right. And we're going to slide them down. You need to make sure that these are not folded up before you slide them down, or else it's going to catch. Then you can just slide it down. Like so. Now with the rest of this, we're going to unfurl some of these parts here. Before we do that, let's go ahead and rotate this back around. So right here is a rotation joint, and it scared me the first time I rotated it, and it's still tight, and it scares me now trying to rotate it. So there we go. And then we're going to fold these out, and feels like slightly has to go past that. It doesn't feel like it's perfect. Then we can fold these out later, just making sure that we have this ready to go. Then we're going to fold up the hip skirts into the sides. And this goes down here into place, tucks it around. All right, so this is where we're at for now. We're going to keep working on this. Now we need to do the arms next. Then we're going to get into some of the leg situation and all of that fun stuff. So with the arms, they're pretty straightforward and simple. If you tab those in and plug them in really hard, you're really going to have a hard time getting them out, in my opinion. So that's why I didn't do that. This is a double hinge, and I guess we can close that up now. This is going to tab in. How this tabs in is there's a tab and a hole, and then a tab and a slot hole right there, and should just line up. The way this is, I just think with all the paint that's on it and all that kind of stuff, I think that there's going to be some paint rub going on. There's just no way around the paint rub on this thing. So either don't transform it or get some paint rub. So there we go. Now, this is kind of where it's at. What I screwed up is, obviously you see I didn't put the head in. So let's take care of that situation. All right, here we are. Now, we got to do these legs. So a lot of stuff going on here with the legs. I'm going to pop this open. We're going to open this And so turns out I never actually collapsed this when it was in bot mode. So I was wrong the whole time I was in bot mode showing all that stuff. I guess that's part of the, it was shipped like that. So to me, not that big of a deal. Okay, anyway. Gonna get the knee in the down mode here to create some room. And then we're going to pop this open, and then we're gonna open this up, turn it around, and then put this around this like so. We also have a little flap that comes out that we're going to see here in a little bit. Is that all the flaps? Okay. All right, next we need to disconnect this die cast piece right here. Then we're going to turn it this way to the inside, and we're going to fold it all up. Now, one thing I did pop this piece open. It's going to intercept that, and we're going to, I got to get that knee back in there just right. And fold this up, make sure this piece here is out still, and you can kind of leave that down. So we're going to fold this up, and we're going to tab this in here, tab this into part of the foot right there, and then right here this is going to go up, and at the same time it kind of connects to that. So there we go, getting that piece done. All right, so looking at the other side, now we do have this flap here that comes out, and it's, I should have done this better. It goes into here. To kind of secure that. There's probably a better way to do that, and I should probably do that on this side a little sooner, but I guess there's more than one way to skin the cat on this guy. But I should have gotten that one out. I don't know if it's flexing it too much to get it out now. Should have shown that earlier. Okay, so same thing on the other leg here. Fold this up, fold this out. It's going to go all the way around. This is going to fold in like so. Go over. And we still have, I already have this piece out because I never left it out in the first place, so I guess, sorry in the comparisons, whatever. All right, so making sure everything's just right. Undo that. Fold this over like so. Sure I have everything set up right. Is everything in here? It looks right. Looks like everything's there. Okay. Pop open this tab if you haven't already. That tab got tight on me. Tab that in there, tab this into here, and then this part here is going to open up and then kind of double joint slide around. Go back into it, then this, make sure that this piece, my piece keeps falling back in there, but make sure that's out, and then let's put it in place. Tab that in there. This needs to go below this, underneath this. I screwed that up again. All right, I'm going to take a look at it and get it a little bit cleaned up, and then we're going to have a good look at this in its alt mode. So let's get this guy transformed up, and we're going to turn his head and fold it over, and then we're going to fold in his hand, fold this up, lift it up like so, and make sure it's all pressed in all the way, and it just goes straight up like so. We are going to also close up the heel spur, tuck the foot in, and then we get into turning this sideways. Then we have to mess with this scary joint again. It's a little scary to me. I don't know. Just seems a little bit scary to get that in there all the way. There it is. Then we're going to fold this up into place. There's one side done, more or less. It's more or less done. Okay. And then we'll do it from this angle on this side also. Push this in, fold it up. And then same thing over here. Going to double rock this into place. Scary little joint. Fix the foot and then rock it up here into place. You got to be real careful because that will break. That could break very easily. So there we go. Looks good. There's the cassette. It also comes with this here. You can put it in there, and you can tuck and stow these away. So there's some tabs in there, or some slots for these tabs, and so you clip it in. And after a lot of experimenting, I got it right. So if you're looking at it from this side, this is the front of the tape cassette side. You want the wing to the back, and you want it folded up looking like that. So this was a lot of work just to get the weapon storage in there, but it does work. There's the weapon storage stored in there. So here he is in his alt mode, and it looks okay, but it's not perfect. A lot of people complain and say it's unfinished looking. I don't really think it's that bad for what it is. But let's look at the features. You do have these buttons here, which aren't really buttons. They just look like buttons, of course. And then we have, this looks like it's like a slider or something, a tuner or something. And then this looks like a volume adjustment. Pop this open, you can put the tape in. Well, let me just tell you, I scratched my paint putting my tape in. I guarantee it fits, but it really is irritating that my paint scratched. There it is. There's the paint still on there. Maybe can I take it off and put it on there? Oh, anyway. So I don't need to put them in there. We all know how a tape thing works. And then that little sliding mechanism will eject a second tape. But with these being die cast and so much paint on them, and then there's rub, that's very sad. That's frustrating. So I can see why people are irritated about that. Maybe you want to throw a G1 in there or something. I don't know. I haven't tested throwing a G1 in there either. But I'm not going to keep it in this mode longer than it takes to film this because it's going right back to bot mode because that's my mode. But let's do some comparisons real quick. Here he is compared to Takara, and I just want to say that it looks pretty good. The Takara is better. So, pretty good, better. Now, this is more kind of toon, so I would say if you find the episode in the cartoon, this is what it looks like. But I like the look of this one a little bit better. It just feels a little more like there's more to it. You got all this stuff on the side, like all these ports and all that kind of stuff. And is that a USB charge port? Okay. And then over here, even more all kinds of stuff in detail. So if you're in for the detail, you want to go Takara. If you're in for the simplistic look, go for this one. But at the end of the day, this is going to be my bot mode. This is going to be my alt mode. I'll just leave it in alt mode for fun. You know, why not? Speaking of fun, it ain't no fun unless you've got G1. Am I right here? So here's the G1 figure. And you can kind of see what it looked like. Where we came from. Where we are going. I don't think those are... Here, let me see a better G1. There, that one there. I don't think that these... I don't know if stickers are supposed to be on there. I don't think so. So, there we go. Anyway, there you go. The G1's really thin, too. Like, real thin. So this is my look at the Robot Paradise Fanstoys, the RP-01 Acoustic Wave. It's almost a decade since they first showed off their first pictures of an acoustic wave. And for that, I want to say that this is actually a pretty solid offering. I like the bot mode. I like the fact that they give you a bunch of stuff to make it look like you can have it a toy mode. I like the fact that it really fits the modern day aesthetic, and the transformation probably isn't the most fun or the easiest, but it's not the worst one Fanstoys put out, and it's not the worst one X-Transbots has put out, so it's not horrible. And I'm going to leave it in bot mode for the rest of the time that I own it anyway, but it's still nice to know it can do this and do all of this good stuff. The cassettes, I look forward to them coming up, and my favorite, of course, is Rumble and Ravage, so those are on the way, and hopefully we can be reviewing those very soon. But anyway, let me know what you think about this figure. Do you have this already? You're looking forward to getting it. The price, they're like, it's supposed to be $220, but places are charging upwards of $280 for it now. So you can get yours at Show Z. I think it's still $230 at Show Z right now. I'll have a link in the description below. Like and subscribe. Tidyr Hanger out.